Seoul, South Korea. North Korea carried out its sixth and most powerful nuclear test on Sunday, saying it had detonated a hydrogen bomb that could be mounted on an intercontinental ballistic missile. The test, which the North called a complete success, came hours after Pyongyang claimed to have developed such a weapon. It was an extraordinary show of defiance by the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, against President Trump, who has threatened to bring fire and fury to the North if it continues to threaten the United States with nuclear missiles. It was the North's first blast to clearly surpass the destructive power of the bombs dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. Still, it was unclear whether the North had in fact detonated a hydrogen bomb, a far more powerful weapon than the atomic bombs it has tested in the past. And analysts were skeptical that Pyongyang had really developed the capability to mount one on an ICBM. The United States Geological Survey estimated that the tremor set off by the blast, detected at 12:36 p.m. at the Punggye-ri underground test site in northwestern North Korea, had a magnitude of 6.3. The South Korean Defense Ministry's estimate was much lower, at 5.7, but even that would mean a blast 5 to 6 times as powerful as the North's last nuclear test, a year ago, said Lee Mi-sun, a senior analyst at the South Korean Meteorological Administration. The blast was so powerful that the first tremor was followed by a second, weaker 1 minute later, which the United States Geological Survey called a collapse. The second tremor was detected in China but not in South Korea. Officials in the South said that would be consistent with a cave-in at the North's underground test site. China, the North's main ally and biggest trading partner, expressed strong condemnation of the test, according to Xinhua, the state news agency. Japan requested an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan and Mr. Trump had spoken by telephone and resolved to put more pressure on North Korea. Just last week, North Korea fired a ballistic missile over Japan, sharply escalating tensions in the region. Pyongyang recently launched an intercontinental ballistic missile capable of reaching the American mainland, and it responded to Mr. Trump's fire and fury rhetoric by threatening to fire missiles into waters around Guam, a United States territory that is home to military bases. North Korea has conducted a series of nuclear and ballistic missile tests since 2006. Its previous nuclear tests have produced increasingly larger blasts. The last test, in September 2016, yielded one about as powerful as the bomb the United States dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. In its fourth nuclear test, in January 2016, North Korea claimed to have used a hydrogen bomb. Other countries dismissed the claim for lack of evidence, but experts have said that the North may have tested a boosted atomic bomb, in which a small amount of thermonuclear fuel produced a slightly higher explosive yield but fell well short of a true hydrogen bomb. Hours before the tremor was detected on Sunday, North Korea's state news agency said the country had developed a hydrogen bomb that could be mounted on an intercontinental ballistic missile. The report offered no evidence for the claim, other than photos of Kim Jong-un, the country's leader, inspecting what it said was the weapon. Kim Dong-yub, a defense analyst at the Institute for Far Eastern Studies at Kyungham University in Seoul, said he believed the device that North Korea detonated on Sunday was a boosted atomic bomb. He said the estimated explosive yield of 60 to 80 kilotons was too low for a bona fide hydrogen bomb, which can pack more than 1,000 times the destructive power of an ordinary nuclear weapon. Analysts noted that the device in the photo that the North released on Sunday, whether real or a mock-up, was shaped like a two-stage thermonuclear device. David Albright, president of the Washington-based Institute for Science and International Security, said he doubted the device was real, but he said there was strong evidence that the North had been working on thermonuclear weapons. The size of the seismic signal of the recent test suggests a significantly higher explosive yield than the fifth test, Mr. Albright said. Getting this high of a yield would likely require thermonuclear material in the device. But he said he was skeptical that this design has been miniaturized to fit reliably on a ballistic missile. Mr. Trump's aides have concluded that his options in responding to the North Korean threat are limited. A strike on the North's main nuclear and missile sites faces the same challenge it always has: the North's ability to retaliate against Seoul, the South's capital, which is within range of its artillery. So for now, Mr. Trump has turned to the same strategy his predecessor